I've never seen the demand for precious metals even remotely close to what I'm seeing right now, ever in 34 years. Not even close, not by a million miles. And I will stick to what I've been saying on your show for the past 2 years. This market will define itself by the inability to source profit.
Welcome to Silver News Daily, your ultimate destination for all things precious metals. If you're passionate about the glimmer of silver and the world of precious metals, you're in the right place. By hitting that magical subscribe button, you're joining a community of like-minded thinkers who see the potential of silver and precious metals shaping the future. Buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the latest news and updates. Alright, my friend, grab your coffee and let's dive into the world of silver, one of the most sought-after assets on the planet. Now I'm sure you've heard the buzz about the potential for a hyperinflationary collapse. I mean, it's everywhere. As the US public debt balloons and the future of the US dollar seems more uncertain, the role silver might play in our financial future is captivating. So let's put things into perspective. Imagine a scenario where the US dollar takes a real hit, and I'm talking a monumental tumble. What happens to the value of silver? Experts are hinting that in such a case, silver's price could essentially rise to an infinite amount when valued in dollar terms. Sounds crazy, right? But the numbers don't lie. There are only about 3 billion ounces of silver worldwide. Yep, that's it. When you break that down, we're looking at less than half an ounce of silver for each person on Earth. I don't know about you, but that scarcity makes my collector's heart race. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. Imagine a world where just 1 ounce of silver could buy you something substantial, like a motor vehicle. Can you picture trading a small silver bar for a brand new car? It's a fascinating thought. While these scenarios might sound far-fetched now, understanding the intrinsic value of silver gives us a fresh perspective on how we view assets. It's more than just a metal. It's a piece of security, a piece of history, and potentially a significant player in a changing economic landscape. Speaking of changing landscapes, did you hear about silver's recent market movements? Hold on to that thought, because it's been quite the roller coaster, and I've got all the insights for our next chat. Alright, so let's zoom into the recent happenings in the silver market. Remember those roller coasters we loved as kids? Well, the silver market has been giving off some of those vibes lately. Just recently, silver had us all on the edge of our seats with a 7-day losing streak. A bit nerve-wracking for some, but guess what? It snapped back, and as of our last check, seemed to be bouncing off its 2.5-week low of around $22.85. Now, for the market enthusiast out there, here's something interesting. The white metal is playing a tad hard to get, floating just above the $23 mark. That's an upward tick of over 0.4% for the day. But, and there's always a but, there's a cautious hum in the air. Despite the recent uptick, the market is showing a vulnerability to weaken further. Technical buffs are pointing out that the daily chart indicators are just beginning to lean towards the negative side. Oh, and that relative strength index on the 4-hour chart recovered from the oversold territory. What that tells us is the path of least resistance for silver is, at the moment, tilting downwards. So some investors might see an upward move as a golden, or should I say silvery, selling opportunity. Now, for the bearish traders among us, there's a particular area you might want to keep an eye on. That's the overnight swing low zone of $22.85. Should we see silver dipping below that, the next trajectory could point even further south, possibly towards the $22.20 to $22.10 zone. But hey, remember the roller coaster analogy. The market has its ups and downs. On the other hand, some optimistic hurdles to watch out for hover around the $23.35 to $23.40 range. Should the market breach this, it might hint at a turn of tides and signal that the recent downfall is in the rear view. In that scenario, our silver might just gleam its way towards the $24 mark and beyond. The exciting part about all of this, the markets, like our favorite roller coasters, are unpredictable and full of thrills. But here's a sneak peek at what's next, understanding the intricacies behind these numbers. The insights? Oh, they're juicy. Stay tuned. Alright, let's dive deeper, my friend. Now that we've zoomed in on silver's recent market play, it's essential to get a grip on the mechanics behind these numbers. Ever wondered about the technicalities that sway the precious metal market? Let's unwrap that. The world of silver, like all commodities, is not just driven by demand and supply. There's a whole galaxy of technical indicators and analyses that experts use to read the market's pulse. One such tool that's been making headlines is the 100-period Simple Moving Average, SMA, on the 4-hour chart. Think of this as a market health thermometer. A move beyond this average can indicate a significant shift in the market's direction. Now, in our current scenario, this SMA plays a pivotal role. If the silver market can muster the strength to surge beyond this average, it could be an indication that the recent lows have run their course. This, my friend, could tip the balance in favor of our bullish traders. A robust move above these SMA could pave the way for a short covering move that might see silver dancing its way up to the $24.30 to $24.35 supply zone. That's an area where sellers might just step in again, creating another exciting chapter in silver's ongoing saga. However, and there's always a twist in our tale, if silver fails to breach this SMA, it could reinforce the current bearish sentiment. And while we all love rooting for our shiny metal, it's essential to have a holistic view, keeping both the bullish and bearish scenarios in sight. And hey, just when you thought we're done with the technicals, there's another significant factor we need to discuss: global influences on the silver market. From inflation rates to geopolitical tensions, there's a web of factors at play, each with its own tale to tell. Want the scoop on that? Hang tight, because it's going to be an intriguing ride. Geopolitics and economics, the perfect cocktail that makes the silver market dance. So let's swirl our glass and see what flavors come to the forefront in this complex mix. Every seasoned investor knows that the value of silver doesn't just ebb and flow in a vacuum. Oh no, it's intricately intertwined with global events. For instance, inflation. When inflation rates soar, the purchasing power of currencies can drop, and as a result, people often rush towards assets like gold and silver to safeguard their wealth. Think of it as an anchor in a stormy economic sea. Then there's geopolitical tension. Ever notice when there's a significant global event or a tiff between nations, our dear commodities tend to get a little jittery? That's because they're sensitive to stability. In a world with rising political uncertainties, the demand for silver, both as an investment and as an industrial metal, can spike. It's the market's way of hedging its bets against unpredictability. But it's not just wars and words that impact the silver market. Even technological advancements play a role. You see, silver isn't just for coins and jewelry. This shiny metal is an essential component in various industries, from electronics to medicine. As innovation surges forward, the demand for silver in these sectors could very well increase. Yet, as with every commodity, there are challenges. There's always another side of the coin. For silver, a thriving tech industry also means innovations that could use less of the metal, or in some cases, replace it altogether. But hold that thought. While we chatted about the broader global influences, the domestic factors affecting silver prices are equally, if not more, fascinating. Want to hear about the home front influences and how they play into the bigger picture? Trust me, it's a tale worth telling. Stay with me. The home front. Now, when I say home front, I'm zooming into factors closer to the heartland of our silver market, the USC. As influential as global events can be, domestic events in major economies, especially the US, hold considerable sway over silver prices. Let's talk numbers. The US public debt has been ballooning, and there's a growing chatter around a potential hyperinflationary collapse. Scary, right? But here's where it gets interesting for silver enthusiasts. If, and it's a big if, the US dollar were to collapse due to such hyperinflation, silver could potentially shoot up to unimaginable price points. Why, you ask? It's all about scarcity. Remember this, there are only 3 billion ounces of silver in the world. That's less than half an ounce for every person on this planet. So, during any economic crisis, especially one where traditional currency values plummet, this scarcity could make silver incredibly valuable. We might reach a point where the price of silver isn't measured just in dollar terms, but in what it could purchase. Imagine this. An ounce of silver might be able to buy you something as substantial as a motor vehicle during such a collapse. Now, before we go all in on silver, it's crucial to remember that markets are, at their core, unpredictable. They react to news, policy changes, and even sentiments. For instance, if there's a change in the Federal Reserve's stance or a major fiscal policy rollout, silver prices could swing. But what's the big takeaway here? Diversify. As much as silver holds promise, especially in uncertain times, it's essential to have a balanced portfolio. Not all eggs in one basket, as they say. Speaking of balance, the dance between silver and its golden counterpart. Gold is a mesmerizing one. Ever wondered how these two metals play off each other and influence the market in tandem? Well, that's our next chapter. Stick around and let's unwrap that golden tale. Alright, let's see into a duo that's been in the spotlight for centuries, gold and silver. These two metals, though distinct in many ways, are often mentioned in the same breath. They're like two sides of the same coin, pun intended, and their relationship is an intricate ballet that's essential to understand. Gold, often dubbed the king of metals, has historically been the go-to for investors during turbulent times. It's seen as a safe haven asset. When economies shake or geopolitical tensions flare, gold tends to shine brighter. But what's fascinating is how silver dances in tandem. The gold to silver ratio is a tool that many investors keep a keen eye on. It simply tells you how many ounces of silver it takes to buy a single ounce of gold. Now, while this ratio has varied over the years, it provides a lens into the relative value of these metals. When the ratio is high, it often signals that silver is undervalued compared to gold. Conversely, a low ratio can indicate gold being the undervalued sibling. Now, considering the current economic scenarios we discussed with inflation worries and potential currency issues, both metals have a spotlight on them. But here's a silver lining, again, pun intended. Silver has dual demand. Unlike gold, which is primarily a monetary metal, silver boasts of extensive industrial uses from electronics to solar panels. This gives it an edge. In a booming economy, while gold might lose some of its luster, silver could still shine due to its industrial demand. But like all stories, there are twists and turns. The ongoing technological advancements might reduce the need for silver in some sectors while simultaneously opening doors in others. It's a constantly evolving narrative. You might wonder, with all these factors in play, how does one navigate this dynamic dues market? Well, having an ear to the ground, understanding global and domestic triggers, and of course a dash of intuition can go a long way. Speaking of navigation, ever thought about how other economies and their policies ripple into our silver market? Global connections, my friend, make this market a thrilling roller coaster. Let's buckle up and dive into that interconnected world next, shall we? Let's take a quick shivering recap of our journey today. We embarked on this enlightening voyage by understanding the pulse of the silver market and its delicate dance with global and domestic factors. From the potential impact of a hyperinflationary collapse and the value silver might hold in such scenarios to the intricacies of silver's relationship with gold, we've covered quite the ground. We delve deep into the ebbs and flows of this captivating commodity, understanding its sensitivity to global events, technological advancements, and even its little tango with its golden counterpart. The importance of a diversified portfolio, the gold to silver ratio, and silver's dual demand in both investment and industry were all key takeaways. Remember, the world of precious metals is as vast as it is vibrant. It's full of nuances, driven by a myriad of factors. And while I'm here to share the latest and most intriguing news, it's always essential to approach this with a grain of caution. Thank you, dear enthusiasts, for tuning into Silver News Daily. Your thirst for knowledge and trust in our content is what fuels this platform. However, a gentle reminder, as much as we strive for accuracy and relevance, our content is intended to inform and not to be taken as investment advice. Always consult with professionals when making financial decisions. Stay curious, stay informed, and until next time, keep an eye on that shiny horizon.